What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Sean Strickland on being a backup for Izzy vs DDP. Ahead of the UFC 305 pay-per-view card in Perth, Sean Strickland has made it clear that he believes he's next in line for a crack at the winner of the Israel Adesanya-Dricus du Plessis fight. While a number one contender bout between he and Robert Whittaker seems to make sense, Strickland has maintained that he won't be fighting anyone besides the champion in his next fight. From the sounds of things, Strickland has no plans of being the backup for the du Plessis-Adesanya fight either. During a recent interview with Shaq MMA, the former champion was dismissive of the idea of being the backup fighter for the UFC 305 headliner.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you know, when it comes to these backfield things, they're always started. I'm next in line. They can have anybody who's a backfield. I'm next in line. It's my shot. I'll let them fight who could say the N-word, and after they're done, then I'll handle it.
So still, but have they talked to you at all about that yet?
No. I mean, it's known. It is like I'm next in line. Okay. It ain't Whittaker, it's me.
As Strickland went on to explain, if the UFC gives Robert Whittaker the title shot over him, the only possible reason would be because they don't want someone as outspoken as him on the mic. With Strickland uninterested in being the backup, it sounds like Robert Whittaker is likely to be tapped to weigh in as the backup fighter in Perth. Next up, let's take a look at Dustin Poirier talks about Nate Diaz fight. The last time fight fans saw Dustin Poirier inside the octagon, he made it pretty clear that there was a good chance he had fought for the final time. Despite that, since then, Poirier has announced that he'll be stepping back into the octagon once more. Talk immediately began circulating about a fight between Poirier and Nate Diaz, which seemed to pique the Diamond's interest. The way some fans see things, however, given that Poirier has continued to fight top-level competition, a bout between he and Diaz may not be as competitive as it would have been back when the UFC initially began trying to book the potential fight years back. During a recent episode of the Anik and Florian podcast, Poirier spoke about the potential bout.
The thing with the Diaz is, you know, I'm in contact with the UFC behind the scenes about my next moves all the time. Like we talk, when do I want to fight again? How bad are my injuries? Things like that. And when I brought his name up, the last time I brought his name up, they didn't want to talk about him. They didn't want to do business. He's just, a lot of fans don't know behind the scenes, he's such a struggle to deal with that I think they just don't want to do it anymore. But if it came around, if that was something that was a reality, I 100% would take the fight right now, sign a contract.
Of course, Diaz currently is not signed to the UFC. However, with that being said, at the time he parted ways with the promotion following his UFC 279 win, he made it clear that he planned on returning to the octagon one day. Next, let's take a look at Magomed Ankalaev sends a warning to Alex Pereira. In the wake of Alex Pereira's UFC 303 victory over Yuri Prochazka, the light heavyweight champion teased a potential move to heavyweight during his post-fight octagon interview. Despite that, it sounds as though the champ's next title defense will come against Magomed Ankalaev, who has been eagerly awaiting his chance to compete for UFC gold. During a recent Russian-speaking interview with Aslan Badayev, Ankalaev spoke about the potential fight, sending a warning to the champ. Many experts understand that I can easily beat Pereira. I think with his speed, he won't touch me at all. The most he can do is hit me with a low kick. I think he won't touch me with his hands. I'm so confident in myself that I can even beat him standing up. I can guarantee this. I can fight him standing up until the end if necessary. I want to beat him up. I just want to attack him. Just show him that I'm better than him. So far, the UFC has yet to announce a potential date for this fight. However, Ankalaev has previously suggested that the pair throw down in Abu Dhabi. On the flip side, Pereira revealed following his UFC 303 win that while he wants to take some time off, he plans to return to the octagon before the end of the year, meaning a December bout may be more likely. Next, let's take a look at Justin Gaethje reflects on Max Holloway fight. At UFC 300, Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway competed in a BMF bout for the ages that saw Holloway pick up a highlight reel knockout win in the closing seconds of the fight. In the wake of the loss, fans questioned whether or not the highlight would retire. While Gaethje has since made it clear that he isn't retiring quite yet, he did reveal that he wants to take some time off to recover before returning to action. During a recent episode of the Anik and Florian podcast, Gaethje opened up on his fight with Holloway, reflecting on what he should have done differently.
My game plan wasn't necessarily the correct game plan, but that's always something you can know after the fact. And I think he fought an amazing fight, and he was very precise and perfect that night. And that was a very tough Max Holloway to beat.
What do you think you would have changed on fight night?
So I think I would have pressured more. I would have tried to move forward and fight at not. No, I thought he would come to me.
As Gaethje went on to explain, in the 4th round, which was the only one he's confident that he won, he moved forward and put the pressure on Holloway. In response to his comments, the MMA community was quick to weigh in. As one fan wrote, "That's how you take a loss. Recognize what your opponent did well and identify how you can improve." Another weighed in on Gaethje's loss, writing, "Justin's fights are always bangers. Don't think his stock went down after that Holloway KO. Max was just brilliant in that fight." One member of the MMA community added, "That's exactly what Ilya said Justin did wrong, and people laughed. Now that it comes from the man himself, everyone agrees, lol." Another suggested that Gaethje sustaining a broken nose in round 1 could have played a major impact on the fight, writing, "I rewatched the fight, and I feel like if Max didn't break Justin's nose with that kick in round 1, the fight would have played out differently." One member of the MMA community weighed in on the impending Topuria-Holloway fight, writing, "Justin Gaethje's power is on another level compared to Ilia Topuria, and Max Holloway proved it with that KO. Topuria's hype train is about to get derailed by the BMF champ." So far, no word yet on when Gaethje will be back in action. Next, let's take a look at UFC Fight updates. Ahead of this weekend's UFC Fight Night Lemos vs. Jandiroba fight, let's take a look at today's UFC Fight updates. Starting with a clash between Wang Kong and Victoria Leonardo, scheduled for UFC Vegas 96 on August 24th. The flyweight fight will see Wang Kong look to extend her unbeaten professional record to 6-0 after a road to the UFC win over Paula Luna back in May. On the flip side, Leonardo will be looking to bounce back after a lengthy hiatus following a May 2023 loss to Natalia Silva. The following month at the UFC Vegas 97 card on September 7th, Andre Petroski is set to compete against Dylan Budka in a middleweight bout that will see Petroski look to build on a July win over Josh Fremont, while on the flip side, Budka will be looking to bounce back after an April loss to Cesar Almeida in his UFC debut. Last but certainly not least in the way of UFC fight updates, reports have indicated that Manuel Torres and Ignacio Bahamondes will collide at the UFC 306 card at the Sphere scheduled for September 14th. The bout will see Torres look to build on a 3-fight win streak inside the octagon that most recently saw him defeat Chris Duncan back in February. While on the flip side, Bahamondes will look to build on a win over Christos Giagos back in April. Now let's shift gears and take a look at Dan Hooker talks about Mateusz Gamrot fight. Dan Hooker is set to make his highly anticipated return to the octagon at UFC 305 in Perth against Mateusz Gamrot in a bout that will see the number 11 ranked Hooker compete against number 5 ranked Gamrot in a classic stylistic battle between a grappler and a striker. Ahead of the fight, Hooker spoke with Submission Radio about the bout and how things came to fruition despite the gap between the two in the rankings. As he explained, part of what makes Gamrot such a tough fight, in addition to his wrestling abilities, is his IQ.
Oh, he just knows how to win, mate. He knows like where he is on the scorecards. He knows what he has to do to get his hand raised. Like he knows how to win. He knows how to win the contest. He knows the rules really well, and he knows how to win fights. He knows how to hit and not get hit. He knows how to smother guys and limit taking risk and taking damage. So you have to respect his approach to the sport. You have to respect his approach to the game.
While Hooker will be looking to make a successful return to the octagon after an arm injury forced him out of a clash with Bobby Green late last year, Gamrot will be looking to build on a 3-fight win streak that currently sees him sitting just shy of a number 1 contender fight. Next up, let's take a look at MMA Community reacts to Belal Muhammad insane body transformation. Leading up to their UFC 304 fight in Manchester, Belal Muhammad appears to have undergone quite the body transformation while training for his rematch with Leon Edwards. The MMA community was quick to weigh in, with one fan writing, "Great shape, but it's headshot dead, unfortunately." Another weighed in, writing, "I think we have a good shot at seeing peak Belal next week, but still not sure if it'll be enough to dethrone Edwards." Others suggested that Muhammad may be using performance-enhancing drugs, with one writing, "Chicken, broccoli, rice, and EPO." Another ripped Muhammad for his fighting style, writing, "All this just to sniff a crotch?" One member of the MMA community weighed in, writing, "Belal is getting ready to take everything from Leon. He's even coming for his most aesthetic physique title." With plenty of talk regarding his physique, Muhammad spoke with Helen Yee about the importance of nutrition in this camp, shouting out his nutritionist.
But it comes down to the little things, and that's the mental game.
Yeah, and is that the secret to the washboard abs? Like the six-pack? Because I'm like, holy crap. Like,
the secret to that is Ian Lario. Shout out to Ian. He's been with me for the last 4 weeks, cooking all my meals, best in the game. Like, it doesn't even feel like I'm dieting. It's like the stuff that he makes so good, amazing. And yeah, I'm just blessed to have him with me.
With the fight rapidly approaching, it'll be interesting to see how things play out in their long-awaited rematch.